Hi, guys. Well, here I am again, bringing before you some information that is critical to what's happening with that bill, Declare Your Wealth, that is going to be debated in Parliament today. I am not sure how many of you are aware of the contents of that bill and how that affects each one of you as a citizen of this country. Let me just read for you a couple points that you need to understand about this bill. Faris Alwari removed the 3/5 majority for passing this bill and, in essence, made way for the bill to be passed by a simple majority. The opposition no longer will have the ability to object to this bill. So what they've done is effectively removed or silenced the voice of 350,000 voters who represent or support the opposition. In other words, the government has removed the 3/5 majority for this bill so that it easily passes in Parliament with or without objection from the opposition. Why would they do something like that? The state will no longer have to wait to seize your assets on conviction by the court. They can now seize your asset based on simply a suspicion. Take a moment to understand and let that sink in. Think about this. A constable in the TTPS can have a seizure order granted against you merely out of vindictiveness, let's say. That's how this law can be abused if this becomes a law. The bill is retroactive. So if your grandparents were convicted of a crime, your inherited asset from your grandparents can still be seized based on that conviction or on suspicion. The government will no longer have to investigate, gather evidence, plead their case before a judge, and have a conviction against you to seize your property. All they need to have now is an ordinary, basic, unsubstantiated suspicion that you are involved in any criminal activity or that you do not have the ability to declare your wealth. That's all they need. They just have to say, well, you know what, I suspect Mr. John Doe of being a criminal because I can't see where he has obtained his assets from. Let's seize his assets and take him to court. And here's where it gets tricky. If the state seizes your assets and you are taken to court and you are found not guilty by a judge, all the cost incurred in seizing your assets, storing your assets, and maintaining your assets for however long it takes, 10 years at $500,000, you have to pay that money to the state before they release those assets to you. So now the state does not need to prove its case. It can simply seize your assets based on a suspicion. They could not get the bill passed under criminal law, so they're bringing it under civil law, which puts the burden of proof on the defendant. That is lazy governance. It is the government's inability to do proper investigative work, to take their case before a sitting judge and have a conviction before they seize your assets. Are you comfortable with the fact that a government can accuse you of criminal conduct without proof and seize your property? Well, that bill that is being debated in Parliament today is exactly what they are trying to do. And they removed the 3/5 majority so that it can be passed with a simple majority. We need to lobby the Senate and the independent senators and let them know that the people are looking on, and we want to know whether or not they stand as independent senators for country or for political alliance. Because if this bill gets enacted into law, you can rest assured that the government is going to use this bill to terrorize the ordinary tax-paying citizens of this country. Mark my words. If you do not pay attention to this bill, this is going to cause a tremendous amount of victimization in this country. Log on to my page at Suzette Lauer. I have a petition to stop the government from enacting this bill into law. I encourage you to please sign this petition so that the government changes the bill to ensure that they allow the people due process before they can seize assets. I have no problems with the government going after corrupt politicians with the government going after corrupt public officials. But I have a big problem if they're doing that against the people of this country, politician or not, without evidence, without an order, a conviction from a court. That type of law is going to be a dangerous piece of legislation against the freedom and the constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. I encourage you to please log on and sign that petition.